Hello everybody, welcome to Atlantis Crystals in Dublin. I'm here with David Ellis. Welcome,
Nice.
David.
How you doing?
And David, today I believe you're going to talk to us about tiger's eye.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And to you, what's so special about tiger's eye?
Interesting. It wasn't my choice crystal. It wouldn't have been something that I instantly would have decided that we were going to talk about. But for the last 2 days, tiger's eye has been in my sphere of consciousness. So I figured that we were going to talk about that today.
So tiger's eye, it's quite an unusual looking crystal. So how was it formed? I mean, what gives it that unusual?
It's a very interesting crystal. It's formed through metamorphosis, which simply means that it was many things. So it's the formation, as I had said before, in the whole crystalline structures is so similar to that of humanity. And this is a very, very good example of when we look at the formation of tiger's eye and we link that to ourselves. The process of formation is through metamorphosis, which simply means to change. So it began its life as one thing and it had to change and manipulate itself and its surroundings in order to end up being what it is today.
Okay. And I mean, what's its value to us then as a crystal?
Well, if we are drawn to tiger's eye, for example, we can look at the analogy between self and the formation of the crystal, the change that we're going through.
So, David, it looks, I mean, the name of it, tiger's eye, and how it looks, I mean, it is reminiscent of tiger stripes.
Yes, it is, and that whole tiger stripe similarity brings part of its properties to bear. The tiger is known for its courage and its strength, and tiger's eye is the stone of courage and strength. In its growing process, so how it gets its colouring is through its layering. So as it's manipulating itself to fit into its environment, it's allowing itself to be layered along the way. And in its layering, of course, as we know, that if you keep on building layer upon layer upon layer, it builds and builds and builds more strength. So hence our courage and strength coming from tiger's eye.
Okay. And in terms of the chakras, it's associated with
Solar
which
plexus.
one, the solar plexus?
A lot of people also associate it with sacral, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in general, solar plexus. So this is about building courage within ourselves and re-strengthening who we are, and having the courage and strength to actually move on and do the things that we need to do in this changing environment. This particular stone for this time is incredibly powerful. This particular piece of tiger's eye that I'm holding is actually not tiger's eye at all. This is tiger's iron, and the slight difference is that there's an iron inclusion in the formation of tiger's eye, which brings it that little more ready look. And tiger's iron then becomes, two things happen. One, it becomes a stronger crystal, and the second thing that happens is it moves down a notch in the line of the chakra, so it becomes more of a sacral or more of a root than solar plexus.
Okay, okay. And when you look at it, it has that shimmer effect in it. So is that significant?
Well, it's significant in the sense of the, if you look at sometimes when you look at the shimmer, it almost looks like an eye. So this is where the tiger's eye comes in.
Right, okay, okay. Okay, David, you mentioned change and fitting in. Just talk to us a little bit more about that, given the environment we're in at the moment.
Okay, well, if you take an adolescent teenager, for example, which is a similar analogy to where we are at the moment today, but in general terms, an adolescent teenager is trying to fit in all of the time, and in their fitting in, they become rebellious. They do things that are out of character. The outside influences of life change their personality. Their family environment changes. Everything begins to change in order to facilitate the change that's going on within the teenager. Now, it's not necessarily the teenager that's changing inside, but the environment outside is causing a change, and the teenager is trying to fit in. Tiger's Eye did exactly the same in its growth process. It wanted to fit in, and in fitting in, it began to change and began to solidify itself and become stronger and stronger. Our life today, in the environment that we live in recession and depression, we need to make changes. If we don't change, things are not going to change. When the caveman in his day, he had to change what he was doing in order to move up the line of evolution. And it's now our turn to do this. We need to be making that change. Otherwise, we're not going to survive. And Tiger's Eye gives us the courage and strength to actually make that change.
Okay. So do you think that's what's going on at the moment then, that we're kind of making a step in our evolution?
Oh, absolutely. We're moving from third dimension to fifth dimension, and the company of heaven are working incredibly hard in order to facilitate us along our journey. But it's a little bit like going halfway out into the river to be saved. So I can stand on this side of the river and want to be saved, and the boats are going past and they're saying, you know, come out, and I'm going, no, I'm going to be okay because I'm going to be saved. Or I can step out into the river. So when we want to make change, we have to go part of the way.
Right.
It's also about intention. You know, what is my intention? Do I want to make change? Do I want to be saved? And if I do, then I need to go halfway out there to be that person, to be changed.
Okay. But it's also the believing that you will be, the trusting.
Yes.
Yeah.
The trust and the intention.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is the crystal that's going to help us to do
This
that.
is the crystal of the day. I have to say, this is the crystal that is going to bring us the courage and strength to leave behind the old ways. That whole paradigm of belief, the way the Catholic Church taught us, the way the banks have abused us and taught us, how the government have abused us and blindfolded us. This is the crystal that's going to help us move forward in our lives and take us on to the next level.
Yes, there certainly have been challenging times.
Yes, indeed. But challenging times, and if you consider all of that has happened throughout all of the pillars of society, if you like, they all have been very, very negative. But all change is not negative. We can take all that we've learned. We can choose to learn from all that has happened and move forward in a positive way, or we can choose to stay stuck in what has happened and keep on blaming all of the pillars of society for the life that I have today. It is best that we leave the blame game behind and take a piece of Tiger's Eye, put it in your pocket, and begin to believe in a better future. Begin to believe in a better self. And as we begin to believe in a better self, we're going to actually create for ourselves a better future. And if we smile along the way, we're going to feel better about doing all of that.
And it's interesting, when you look at a piece of Tiger's Eye, you have the dark and you've got the brighter, you know, sort of sunshine, yellow, hope piece.
That's a good observation. And when you're looking at Tiger's Eye, what is it that you're drawn to look at? It's not the dark. It's the light.
It's the shining.
It's the shining. And we're going to shine through all of this mixture of dark and light. But it's also a good point, because we must move away from the belief that the darkness is all condemning, which it is, but we are all beings of both. We are light and dark. We couldn't survive if we weren't. We're like yin and yang. There's a dark side and a light side. And as long as that we keep in balance all of the time, then everything is going to be wonderful.
Well, thank you very much, David. And thank you all for listening.
And thank you, Susan. Thank you very much at home. And may the light of the universe surround and guide you always. God bless now.